Before we begin, I want you to consider something unsettling. When someone dies, the world usually changes. Property transfers, records update, people mourn. But what if a man died and nothing changed at all? What if he died again and again, and the paperwork insisted he was still alive? Welcome to one of the strangest cases buried in the financial and land records of the American South. Before we continue, leave a comment telling us where you're listening from and the exact time of day or night. These stories have a way of finding the right people at the right moments. In 1841, a cotton plantation outside Natchez, Mississippi, officially came under the ownership of a man named Edgar Whitlock. According to county records, Edgar Whitlock was a white landowner in his early 40s, married, no children, moderate holdings. Nothing remarkable, except for one thing. Edgar Whitlock would die, and then die again, and again, and the paperwork insisted he was still alive. The first recorded death of Edgar Whitlock appears in a local church burial register dated November 1849. Cause of death, fever. Age, 48. The burial entry is clear. The handwriting is consistent with other records, witnessed, signed. And yet, no probate followed, no transfer of land, no inventory of property, no will filed. The plantation continued operating the next season. Cotton harvested, accounts settled, taxes paid, all under the name Edgar Whitlock. In 1853, Edgar Whitlock appears again, this time in a merchant ledger in Natchez purchasing farming equipment. Same name, same plantation, but a curious note appears in the margin written by the clerk. Owner appeared older than expected. 4 years later, in 1857, another death record surfaces. Edgar Whitlock. Cause, accident, crushed beneath a horse. Age listed, 52. Again, no probate. Again, no transfer. Again, the plantation continues as if nothing happened. By the early 1860s, the Whitlock plantation's bank records show something subtle but disturbing. The signature remains Edgar Whitlock, but the handwriting changes. Graphologists who later examined these records identified at least 4 distinct hands, all signing the same name over a 30-year period. Some signatures are confident, others shaky, some overly careful as if copying from memory. Yet none of this raised alarms at the time. Why? Because no one wanted to look too closely. During the Civil War, many records vanished. This should have broken the chain. It didn't. In 1866, shortly after the war, the plantation reappears in tax documents. Owner, Edgar Whitlock. Age, not listed. A local tax assessor made a note beside the entry. Owner represented by household steward. No further explanation. Part 6. The third death. In 1872, a death certificate appears in Adams County. Edgar Whitlock. Age, 60. Cause, stroke. This time there is a brief obituary. It states, Mr. Whitlock was a quiet man, known mostly by reputation. No mention of family, no funeral location listed. And yet, the next year, the plantation files tax payments. Signed, Edgar Whitlock. Oral histories collected decades later provide a chilling answer. According to formerly enslaved workers interviewed in the 1930s, the Whitlock plantation was not run by Edgar Whitlock for most of its existence. It was run by a small group of trusted men, overseers, clerks, and one enslaved man known only as Caleb. Caleb, described as literate and precise, handled correspondence. He wrote like a white man, one account states. He spoke little. He watched everything. When asked who owned the plantation, workers were instructed to answer simply, Mr. Whitlock. Which one? No one asked. By the late 1870s, the plantation was profitable, stable, and quietly powerful. No heirs meant no disputes. No widow meant no questions. No transfers meant no scrutiny. Edgar Whitlock became less a person and more a legal container, a name that could be worn, used, passed along. The final recorded death appears in 1881. Edgar Whitlock, age 68. Cause of natural decline. This time, something changes. In 1882, the plantation is officially transferred, not to a relative, not to an estate, but to a trust managed by 3 men who had worked the land for decades. No explanation is offered. The Whitlock name disappears from records entirely. So what happened? The evidence suggests this. Edgar Whitlock died early, possibly as early as the 1840s. Rather than dismantle a profitable operation, those who benefited simply kept him alive on paper. Each time a man stepped into the role, the fiction continued. A body could be buried, a name could not, because the system itself rewarded silence. Banks received payments, the county received taxes, merchants received orders. No one wanted to be the person who asked, "Who is Edgar Whitlock really?" because the answer would require dismantling something that worked. The horror here is not fraud. It is how easily a human being can become irrelevant once replaced by ink and signatures. Edgar Whitlock did not survive death. His name did, and everyone agreed that was enough. The plantation land still exists, subdivided, sold, developed. No marker mentions Edgar Whitlock. No grave can be reliably identified. Only records, only signatures, only a man who died several times and was never allowed to disappear. Final thought. We often imagine identity as something fixed, but history shows us something far darker. Sometimes a person is only real as the paperwork says they are. And when a name becomes more useful than a life, the name survives. The person does not, and no one notices.